Welcome to the Rudeboy Sound. I am the Rudeboy DJ Paul, aka DJ Paul Lawrence, on your YouTube channel. You can find me here dropping my thoughts on everything Spurs. And right now, this video I am about to release, it's about just in general the club, more so taking a dead aim at Ange and his tactics. And so I'm inviting you to spend some time with me and go through. Caution here is that the video it runs a little longer than I anticipated it to be. This is the Friday before the Man City game, so I'm not going to dive into that. I will do that on afternoon, Tuesdays. Good evening. Welcome to the Rude Boy Sound, the Rude Boy Spurs sound off. And just so you know, this has been recorded somewhere in the region of 8 o'clock on Friday night, Friday evening, rather. And so most of the information that I need in that to record, I think I have it. This was not supposed to be based on any news about the the team proposed lineup, and so I was thinking if everyone is fit, this is a team I was going to name. But then I got the information that it doesn't seem like Ramiro will be going, so obviously it is going to be Dragusin and Ben Davis. God help us. And Udogi and Poro for the fullbacks, Bisuma and I guess Sar and Deki will fill out the midfield area, and then you're going to have Son, Solanke, and Johnson. So that's pretty much going to be the starting 11. I think if I look at it and I'm playing my cards right, I think we would probably have Young Gray, probably somewhere between the holding midfielder position as a backup and fullback, right fullback, and also I think in a pinch he can jump over to the left. I don't think we really have any coverage over there, so Udogi might have to go the full run on that one. I'm not sure I see anyone in there who will fit in. Bergvall is going to have a hard time because I think Ange is going to keep plugging Madison in there where he has to make changes. So I don't see anything new happening in the midfield apart from, Benton Kerr being suspended. As far as the wing goes, I think Timo is going to be a part of the mix, unfortunately, and Mikey Moore, if he's fit, I think he is. So pretty much we're not too far off from where and who would have started, who would have been coming from the bench, and of course you have Lancashire in the pivot, for to cover for Solanke. So nothing really changes with Vic being the goalkeeper, and so this is a good segue. So that's my team. Let me just run back through it. That's a team I expected to take the field tomorrow against City. It would be Udogi and Poro as the fullbacks, Jagusin and Davis, as the central midfielders. Holding midfield obviously will be Bisuma, and you have Sar and Hideki. Deki filling in the middle, Son on the left, and Brennan Johnson on the right, and in the middle it will be Solanke. And then whatever happened on the bench, not much in terms of depth and game changers remaining on the bench. So we'll see how that goes. It gives me a good segue into actually what I want to talk about, and I touched it earlier. Unfortunately, y'all, I recorded on a different instrument, and so my mixer, I have a mixer that I send to different recording device. Like now, I'm sending to my laptop, and I was sending the same mic here to my cell phone, and I wanted to record on my cell phone for easier access and would be able to post it right away with minimum edit. And so it's all good. Uh, so earlier in the day, I was listening to Heritage Television, and I was also listening or watching and listening to Sean on Spurs Talk Show or Spurs Talk or whatever the name of his channel is. And there are two things that jumped out at me. I am not here to one take on any creator, any content creator, but I'm here to just get in the middle of some of the things that are being discussed and things that I wrote about on there as well. There are points that I agree with, and there are some things that I absolutely don't agree with, because what we keep doing, right? We keep doing this over and over and over. We're always blaming the fire marshal for the freaking fire, or for getting there instead of blaming the arsonist. And in this case, we have the arsonist right in front of us, and we keep bypassing the arsonist. And the arsonist right now, who set that fire and keeping to pour gasoline on that fire, is Ange Postacoglu, right? So let me get back to what I really want to say. With Levy, right? You know where Levy stand. So that's not a discussion to have. We know what happened with whom Levy designate certain things to. He wants to meddle. He wants to be a part of it, right? And we're going to live with that. And I'm not one of them that said leave it out and leave it this, leave it that, leave it all over the place, right? And so once we go through the whole window, the buying and the selling and the haggling, and we finish that, we're done. We're in November, right? There's no need for me to talk about leaving. Poor management, yes. In some cases, yes. But not when you have a new regime that comes in and said, okay, I know what you think about Levy, but let the onus be on me for anything that is happening right now with the football club. Whether I want to believe that or not, it's up to me. And I happen to believe that when you make a bold statement like that as a manager with so much pride, then it has to be some factual thing to it. It has to be some ingredients in there that will allow a manager with the ego of Daniel Levy to say, let's put Daniel Levy to the side. I know we as fans don't want to do that because we want to always look back and find somebody to blame. I'm not doing that. You understand? Levy gets the blame where he needs to get the blame, the time that he takes to close contracts, sell players, haggle, do all of that. We can beat him up until that time comes, home to the roost. You understand what I'm saying? So now we're looking at Ange Postacoglu. And when we're looking at the games, the actual games, some fans are like, but that's Levy. Levy never. And I'm like, okay, Levy. There's no Levy. We're talking about match day. And I was like, oh, so Ange doesn't have the players. And I'm like, really? Those are his players. Those are the players that he kept that he said can play his system over 2 windows, 3 windows, right? So that's not a good argument. I will say that's not a good argument, right? And then we are talking about the players themselves, that the players are not good enough, right? Whatever point I made before still had to do with the players, but now this is a different kind of way. Is that the players are the players that Ange has. And therefore, whatever his system is that he has to put those players in the best place or the best way, best system, best tactic, system within the system, formation, tactical changes, all of that stuff. You're putting them in a situation where they are going to succeed, or you give them the best opportunity to succeed. That's a better way to put it. Has nothing to do with Levy. So I'm trying to push Levy as far back as I can to make my point. And I hope I'm succeeding. So we're about 3 steps now away from Levy. We're over to Ange. We pass the back room and we're right here with Ange. So that's 1, 2 steps. 3 steps with the players, right? So I'm going to get to the 4th step, which is the manager himself, somewhere in there. Said on the face, I'm going to be the cook. I need to do the shopping. In my opinion, whatever he said, Levy said, go ahead. He said the same thing. So I went out, I shop, I get what I wanted. But here's what's happening with all of that, right? Even though I might laud the 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 the, the, the original intent of playing attractive, aggressive, front foot football, it has come to the point now wherein that can't be a conversation. That can't be an argument to keep the manager. I can't believe I'm saying that. And I tell you why. Every manager have a measure. Doesn't matter which of them. In the last 4 managers, Pochettino, Nuno, Jose, Conte, and the 5th year is Ange. Every single one of them has a measure of success in the style that they bring that give you a reason that they should stay and they should see their project through. We haven't won anything, didn't win anything. I think more than Poch not being 100% supported, and then I'm going to bang Levy there. But it's not about Levy anymore. The managers made mistakes too. And Pochettino did the Cardinal one by starting Kane. I can never let him live that down as a Spurs fan, regardless of what anyone else might think. Wonderful man, but I will say this. The same thing I see in Poch is the same thing I see in Ange. Not tactical. They don't have that tactical nous about them. Give me a Eddie Howe. Give me a Deserby. And you see tactics come into play. Give me Pep. Give me Klopp. A little bit of Arteta. And you will see exactly why I am so annoyed at Ange, because there is nothing tactical about his kind of football. And like I was saying, every single one of them showed you something. Conte showed you something until it all went the other way. I know what he did. He blamed the players and he blamed Levy, never taking the blame for himself. Credit to Ange, he has not done so, not even the least to this point. So I'm going to give him his credit, give him his flowers, right? And so what you see happening right now is a man with a beautiful, beautiful system for football. Entertainment, enjoying. You, the neutral, can stay there and watch it. But it gives us heartbreak and heartburn as Spurs fans, because we know that what he's doing right now it is not conducive to the only thing that we care about: winning a game, not losing a game, not losing to Ipswich when you can move up to 3rd in the league. You know what I'm saying? Not when the table was set for you. And that in itself, right? The neutral can say whatever they want to say, but it hurts real bad as a fan, a long-time fan, 46 years. So I've seen it all. I've seen them all. So I enjoy some of the glory days of Spurs. And there's no excuse why a club like ours should go 16 years without winning something. Absolutely, there's no reason to. And we blame Levy for that, for some of the decisions. But I also have to pin some of that to the managers more so than the players themselves. The players didn't bring themselves here. Some of them lack the performance, yes, but I can blame the manager for all his tactical errors. And I can't even blame Ange for tactical errors because he doesn't have any tactics for me to blame him with. And that's the gist of me and my rant right now. You you can't you can't well, it does. So let me say you can't. It does not understand the nature after a year plus of Premier League football. And that's a darn shame. Because when you look at it, let's roll back to last year. And he came in all bushy eyed, and tail up. Whatever whatever the phrase is. My wife always butcher those terms, so this is my turn to butcher one of them. And so you see what the football was. You can see it. You can describe it as a poetry in motion when Spurs were playing. So you could see it. But what we never saw from that until game 15, 16 was that this man did not have any tactical nous to him. And from that point, you start telling me that, look, we're going to cap this right as it is, mate. We're going to do this way, and we're going to do it this way. And until everybody else succumb to us doing it this way, this is the way we're going to do it. Win, lose, or draw. Well, we have a lot of losses in there, for sure. And that is because the man has not figured out that the Premier League is a total different animal and how sacred 3 points are. 3 points are very, very sacred, especially if you're considered to be one of the top 16 in the league, which I think we are. And so I have not seen anything outside of a good system. Follow me on that. We all can have systems that we want to play, formations that we want to play. 4-3-3, 4-1-2, 4-1-2-2-3, 4-2-1-3, 4-2, whatever. Anything to get to 11 with a formation. Fancy it the way you want. You can do anything with it. And so when you look at all the formations that you could possibly have, the one ingredient, the solo ingredient in all of that is that it has to build around tactics. Formation can't do anything without tactics. And Ange doesn't have one, unfortunately, because I have not seen it. We played 38 games last year and we're up to 10. So that's 48 games. And there was nothing tactical about what he was doing when we win all those games at the beginning. It was just teams, which I never ever said that. But in retrospect, in looking over the team and looking back at everything and analyzing certain things and doing what I'm doing now, is that I realized that it was more about a system and a formation than more tactical. Because when we needed tactics, we never got it. We haven't gotten it. And it's not there up until this day. And so what it means is that if your inverted so-called inverted fullbacks are not being productive, that's a tactic that's gone awry. Because that's proven over and over and over that every counterattack, those same two fullbacks are looking at their goalkeeper. Why is that? Something must be wrong with that. Every single time that we have to defend and we look back there, we see two central defenders struggling to keep up with a counterattack, 4 against 2, 3 against 2. Why is that? There is something fundamentally wrong with that, and we don't want to address it. We have to address it. It has to stop, because if it don't stop, what you're going to do is that you're going to beat poor teams. And believe me, there are about 13 of them in the league that can be poor on any day. I mean, just poor. Let's say that the 10 and down then. And know that, because we're somewhere between 7, 6, 7, somewhere in there, everybody below that, we have a chance to beat. But we can't beat anybody above that. And put that with the teams that are well organized, that are below us, we're going to have a hard time beating them as well because we do not have anything tactical within the system, which is a very good darn system. Attacking football, entertaining football. But we're not here for that. I'm too freaking old for that. I want to see winning football. I don't want to see boring football for the sake of winning because believe me, I never get no joy out of whatever Conte was doing. I didn't get much joy out of what Jose was doing. But when a manager present me something like this, oh my God, I'm licking my chops. So where is the tactics in there to make sure that your fullbacks are not overplaying the midfielders? Where's the tactics to say that my fullbacks are not supposed to be standing on the 18-yard box because I'm playing two guys who are playing technically out of position because Brennan Johnson is not a typical winger. Son is not a typical winger. So therefore, in order for them to produce, they have to be in the middle. They have to play as inside forward. What do you do when you have two other guys now coming in to join your striker? You're either going to freeze the fullback or fullbacks on both sides, or they have to come down and help. Or the midfielder either have to come down and help and the winger has to go. So what's happening is that by virtue of you being tactically sound, you're getting the reaction that you want. You're stopping fast breaks because now everyone has to come down and help. So now you can use your fullback because your fullback are behind the play. If your fullback wants to come down and come inside to add more spine to the middle, they can do that. But they don't need to be standing on the 18-yard box of the opposition. If they want to come down and then go wide and offer that additional support as a wide man to put the cross in, which Porro does very well on the other side. And what has he done this year? What is his contribution going forward? 10 games. Look at his contribution. Look at Udogi's contribution. And tell me if it's worth it exposing the back line by pushing them up too far. Somebody got to tell me that because unless I'm watching a total different team, it doesn't matter what other teams are doing, right? We need to change. He needs to change that, not we. He needs to change that. I think enough of us spoke about it, keep talking about it, that at some point it has to get to him. And who is going to do it? Mainstream journalists going to have to ask a question. When is it going to be that you're going to have to change this system to match what the opposition is doing? It has to be that somebody has to take responsibility and stand up. Ali Goal, who comes back and you're in the room. You're a journalist for crying out loud. Don't worry about your podcast. Answer and ask journalistic question. What are you going to do about the fullbacks because they're unproductive and they're costing us game because the backline is exposed? Somebody got to ask that question because you're in the room. I'm not. And so the challenge is whether or not Ange is willing to see what is letting the team down. And let me say this. For those who want to jump and scream and shout when you win and say, oh, Ange Ball has arrived. No, 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 no. For me, I enjoy the game. I enjoy the win. But I'm going to be critical because the same mistake that you're making when you're playing and you beat the likes of Everton and West Ham and the others, the same mistakes that you're making that those teams are not able to capitalize on, better team, more organized team do capitalize on it and you lose. Just ask Ipswich. They were organized 5-4-1. What were we doing? We're still doing the same thing. Van der Ven out and we're playing a high line and Van der Ven is the high line. You don't have the speed. Romero is not as quick. He's a good defender. Solid, stout. But if you look at some of the things, and I'm going to probably say this. I'm probably going to say this. For the people who keep scrutinizing Romero, and somehow they want to make him be this um, world defender, right? In their mind, they can criticize him and beat him down for errors, in my opinion, in the back, not his solely, but is being regularly occurring in the defensive line. It's no one person. And when you look at it in some of the goals, is that he's covering where Porra should be, or he's covering where Van de Ven should be, because Van de Ven is covering where Udogi should be, and Udogi is running back. Who do I mark? What's happening? It's a mad scramble. They're always facing their goal. I said that already. So when you have a defense that your two main defender outside who's supposed to protect your flank, keep the ball on the outside, they're upfield. So when the ball goes out wide, left, Van de Ven has to go. Right? What's gonna happen is that now he's pulling Ramirez central and maybe too far left. The fact of the matter is that there's a big hole behind you because Porra's too high up the pitch. Come on, guys. We have to put the blame where it is. That's what the manager is asking for. And if you're going to play your defense, right, in a way that you expect your defense to be instrumental in your offense, then something is absolutely, absolutely wrong with that. You have 5 to 6 offensive players. If you can't design a system and a tactic for them to be the main component in your attack, then something is wrong with your management ability. I kid you not, I'm going to say that. Something is drastically, drastically wrong. Because you can't tell me that if you don't go down and score, right, the opposite to that is chances are I'm going to give up a goal because I'm going to find myself wanting always at the back based on the position of my two wing backs and fullbacks. If they're wing backs or fullbacks, doesn't really matter. And where my central defenders are. And that's what we have been getting. So the tactics to keep a core of defenders together is out the window. It's all based on how we want to attack and not how we want to defend. How about we figure out how we want to defend first? Because the objective is to not be scored upon and score at the end, the other end. And if you're not scoring at the other end, the objective should be your opponent is not scoring. Not scoring either. And so games that you can walk away with a point, you lose those games. It can't be all or nothing. And you see that in the results. Go look at the results. I don't think Ange have 7, 8 draws in almost 50 games. It's either win or lose. I don't have stats in front of me to prove it. But I can't remember him tying too many games that we haven't won or haven't lost. But that's beside the point. And so the other thing that really gets under my skin, right? And this is because I heard it twice today from the podcast I was listening to. And it's about the players and specifically the number 6. Here's my take on that. If we go back to last year and look at the first 14 games and you look at how we were playing, what we were doing was that Bissouma was the architect of everything that we were doing. Bissouma was receiving the ball from Vic more than 90% of the time. Taking the ball upfield, passing it out in the flat to Udogi, passing out to the flat to Poro, going down the middle, taking the pass back, going to Madison when he was healthy. That's what we were doing. Getting it down to the wingers, getting it up in the front. That's what we were doing. But something happened and something dramatically changed. And so what started to happen is that the ball beginning to die at the feet of Ramiro. Vic rolling it out to him. He went back to Vic. Vic to Van der Ven. Van der Ven back across to Ramiro. And we slow walk it. And as we slow walk it, we start having the fullbacks slow walking up into the opposition half. So when you're looking for a pass going forward, there's nobody. So Ramiro goes back to Vic. Vic to Van der Ven. Van der Ven pass it crossway. By the time we do all of this, we have 10, 15 touches and the ball hasn't crossed the half line. And that has been how we have been playing for the past 15 from 50 is 15, right? Or 48. So we're talking about 40, 30, 35 games. 14, 34 games. That's how we have been playing. Everything going to Ramiro. And the ball is down there. Ramiro by himself probably have about 40% of the ball, with the entire team holding for an average 65%, anywhere between 62 and 65% of each game that we play. If you, let me say this, if you're a fast breaking team, if you're an attacking team, you don't need more than about 40% of the ball. Because what it means is that you're using the ball so often, so fast, you don't need all of that possession. And what we find happening is that because we sat on the ball, you can't run. You can't run if you're not passing the ball. You can't run if you're passing the ball to Ramiro and not getting the ball up in the middle of the pitch and out wide and going down. You can't run. If team are going to sit 5-4-1, 4-5-1 and say, I dare you to come to play through me. You can't run on that day. Teams will try it and they will lose because you saw that. But what happened to the team that is not going to try that? Wherein they're going to allow you to run from whatever position you want to. They all will feel the wrath of the front foot football and the kind of football that Ange wants to play. But that does not happen every week. What happened in the first half that you realize that, oh shit, this team comes out in a 4-4-2. Normally they play a 4-2-1, 4-2-1-3. Normally they play a 4-3-3. Now I see them come out and they're in a bank of 4-4-5-1 or a bank of 5-4-1. What's going on here? You have to address that. And we haven't. And that is why I'm saying that in the end, or at the end, right, it's the tactics that is not working. It is not the players. It is what the manager is asking the players to do in his system and not able to back it up, revise it, make changes, move players around, make substitutions, right, to make sure that when you get the counter to whatever you're doing, is that you have something to match it. And he has not shown that to me. I kid you not. He has not shown that. And so when someone said, oh, we need a better number 6, a better number 6 to do what? A better number 6 is not going to make a difference because the ball is not going to him. The ball is going to Ramiro. A better number 6 is not going to do anything because he doesn't have anybody to defend because he has two fullbacks that are split so wide and the defense is so thin because your fullback is so high. So what is the number 6 going to do with that? If you want to tell me that a player is not good enough, you have to show me why. Play him in a position where he's supposed to have success. And when he's not having success, I could look at him and say, you know what, he's not good enough. I think you need better caliber than him. But don't put him in a situation where he's failing and then you're telling me, oh, he's not the right guy. And first and foremost, remember that those players belong to Ange, not Levy. He said Levy gave him what he wanted. And so that's what he gave you. So don't turn it back and say, oh, Levy and Levy and Levy. Throw some Ange in there. You tell me who I said, based on what you tell me, Mr. Ange, you're the face of the franchise. You made the decision as to who's coming, who's going, because you're an integral part of the recruitment. You said, when we find them, I will say, yes, that's what I want. Now go out and get it. Go do your job. I did my job.